Okay, we're going to pick up with game on page 119 or page 124 in the PDF. When Tomas left, Mom got on Jocelyn, but I could tell she wasn't serious. Both of them had liked him. I was surprised at Jocelyn because she doesn't take to people that quickly. I looked over my homework assignments, did some of the reading and history, and started to do the math. I must have fallen asleep because the next thing I knew, Mom was waking me, asking me if I was going to have breakfast. "And why you sleeping in your clothes?" she asked. "In case I had to go somewhere in my dreams," I said. "You know, you and your sister don't act like anybody in my family," Mom said, standing in the doorway. "My side of the family thinks slower and talks slower too. You're both fast thinkers, but you're not slick or nothing. I like that." I wasn't fast enough to figure out what that meant, so I let it go. After school, Ruffy called me and asked if I wanted to go downtown with him and Tony. I was surprised that Tony was back on the street. "They set a trial date for 3 months from now," Ruffy said, "and Tony's out on bail." I felt good about that and said I would go downtown with them. We met in the front of the bank on 145th, and Tony flagged down a cab. We went down to the Old Navy store on 125th Street, and Tony bought some Dynamite shirts. When we walked down to the African restaurant on Lenox Avenue, Tony said we should order what we wanted. "I got you covered," he said, flashing some 20s. I wondered where he got the money, but I didn't say anything. Ruffy was talking about how Mr. Brunson, Tony's lawyer, wanted Tony to dress for the trial. "He wants him clean, but not too flashy," he said. "Kind of conservative, like me." "It's all a game, man," Tony said. "What I gotta figure out is if I really want to deal with the trial or not." What are the other two guys going to do?" I asked. "Depends on me," Tony said. He was leaning back in his chair. "If I take the deal they want a hand down, I can burn both of them. You know what I mean? What they got is a whole bunch of things. My lawyer calls it a laundry list we're being charged with. There's 3 ways this deal can go. I can cop the deal and do a 3 to 5 bid and probably get back into the world in 29 months, or I can take my chance on the trial and maybe walk away clean. But if they throw a curve and I get a guilty verdict, then I'm facing a whole stack of calendars. I gotta check it all out and weigh the pros and cons and make my decision." Tony was acting like he was making a real estate deal or something, instead of talking about going to jail. "Brunson wants him to take the deal," Ruffy said. "You know, that's all good for him," Tony came back. "He can say he won something because I got a light bid. But I ain't buying no time just to make him look good. You know what I mean?" "Yeah," I said. Tony kept on talking about his big decision and how he had figured out his chances for this and that, as if he were in control of everything. It sounded foul to me. "Norman and Little G got records, so they're facing heavy time all around," Tony said. They're scared of me copping, because if I cop, I can send them away forever." "Yeah, right. I was glad when we finished eating and left the restaurant." Tony said he was going to grab a cab and go over to the projects to see his girlfriend. Ruffy was supposed to go with them and then take the cab home. I said I was going to drop by the Studio Museum to pick up a book for Jocelyn, and I would see Ruffy in the morning. Tony and Ruffy got into a cab and headed east. I watched them go for a bit and then started walking uptown. Tony's attitude had bothered me a lot. He was spending money I knew he must have got from his mother and talking about his decision to take the plea deal as if he were on top of things, when he was really just running his mouth about how much time he was going to be locked up. Me and Ruffy were sitting in the restaurant with him, and both of us knew what the deal was. But we hadn't spoken on it because there really wasn't that much to say. The time when Tony could have made a good decision was gone. Now all he could pull together was the least pain. He was acting tough because that's all he could pull off, but it wasn't even his game anymore. It was the prosecutor's game and the judge's game. They had all the rules and all the moves, and all Tony had was his front, and that was raggedy. It was turning colder, and a few snow flurries were coming down along Frederick Douglass Boulevard. I tried to remember the last time there had been a heavy snow in Harlem. I had to have been at least a year or so. The cold wasn't that bad, and the walk uptown felt good. My head was clear, and I wanted to push my mind on what I had to get done for school, but I kept thinking about Tony and how he had let his life slip away. I'd wondered if there was a time, just 1 second, when he could have made one move, one step to the right or left, or said one word different, and found himself in a whole other place. I wondered if it got to that moment, whether I would see it clear. I felt sad for Tony, but I felt nervous for me too. The next game was with Wheatley. Wheatley wasn't a good team. All they could do was run up and down the court and heave the ball. They had 5 lames on their starting team and 10 more lames on the bench. You know how these guys play? Ernie asked. They play like black popcorn, man. They're just popping around the court and running all over the place and hoping the ball comes to them. They don't have any talent. We started off great and jumped to a 15-6 lead. We hung on to those 9 points for the first half with House congratulating us because nobody was in foul trouble. I passed as much as I could, trying to get everybody into the game. At halftime, their cheerleaders came out. The trip was that their boosters were all fat. Ernie and Sky were cracking on them with 2 big greasy dudes came out of the stands and said they were going to pop a cap in Sky someplace nice so he wouldn't have to worry about using Preparation H anymore. Ernie started mouthing off to the guy, but I cooled him down. Look around you, Ernie, I said, leaning over him. We're in their gym, in their school, and there's 150 ugly buck guys up there who haven't got anything better to do tonight than stomp us to death. I'll let you slide this time, fool, Ernie said to the guy who looked like Busta Rhymes on a bad hair day. Man, shut up before I pull a drive-by on y'all's bench, the guy said. I believed him. Anyway, we went out and finished strong to win by 14 points. In my mind, the win wasn't good because Wheatley didn't have much of a team. House heard something was going to go down, so we didn't shower, just grabbed our clothes and jumped on the bus. The driver, seeing we were getting on his bus, Funky, didn't waste any time getting out of there either. We had 4 games to go, and we were coming together real strong. House had us practicing hard whenever we weren't playing. He had Ruffy in the weight room, and my man was looking good. He wasn't really cut, but he was beefy and had lost enough weight to get down the court faster. He had always been strong inside with his boxing out, making up for his not being able to really sky too tough. We had killed Tech before. Everybody killed Tech because they didn't have no team. What they did have was Cleo Hill. If the boy had a coach, he could be all world, Fletch said. He got the size, the heart, and a few moves, but his coach won't let him do what he does best, hang under the boards. What they had Cleo doing was trying to score from all over the court. He had a little outside jumper that was nice, like Brandon Walters, who jumped down on West 4th Street. What he didn't have was a consistent touch around the hoop. Sometimes when you got him real mad, he would just go crazy and score a bunch of points in a hurry. The games they won went that way. It was close down to the end, and somebody got Cleo mad. We played Tech and ate them up. No contest. Cleo brought the ball down the court near the end of the game and went around Tomas with a crossover dribble. I anticipated the whole thing and went up and knocked his shot away, and everybody goofed on that. Then, when I had the ball, I came down, put a move on Cleo that left him standing in his tracks, and went up for the slam. Cleo recovered, came back, and got my stuff from the back. I tried to force the ball around the hoop, but he just pulled me down to the floor with one huge hand. How you like that, pretty boy, he said. After the game, Sky got on my case, asking me why I changed my mind when I went for the slam. That must be a new kind of move, man, he said. Bring the ball back, get a mean look on your face, and then come down to the floor and grin. Anytime you're up against some real players, somebody's going to throw your stuff away, I said. He just got mine. I'm going to stop there for now.